In this one-to-one recreation of Washington, D.C. in the Division II, everything that we see in the city, every major sort of, icon that we see as we're walking around is there. This is the Washington Monument back there, and also the Capitol building is behind that. What's happening in the game as we're seeing this part of the environment?
That area is a huge open field originally, and when there is a crisis striking, it can be the perfect location to establish the first staging area, refugee camps. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened in our game, and that also takes its roots into our research, because during the World War II, that whole area was used for military barracks and ammunition. So when this crisis started, it quickly turned into mass graves, mostly.
Oh man, that's brutal. So all through here is mass graves.
Not all through it, because that whole area, there's something interesting as well here with the reflecting pool, because that area was a swamp. So in our game, that whole area is flooded, so you cannot have anything on the reflective pool, but we have a few mass graves in between the Washington Monument and the Capitol building.
So we're in front of the National Archives, and this is a prominent part of the game.
Yeah, this has been turned into a forward base of operation of the Truson faction. Mm-hmm. And really what you come to do here is very symbolic, because in this building you have the Bill of Rights, you have the Declaration of Independence, and you have the Constitution of America. And basically what you're coming to do here, of course, kick out the Trusons from the building because they have a strong footprint in this area. Yeah. But you're coming here to get back those documents as well and put them in a safe place again.
So we're here at the Lincoln Memorial. This must be one of the most important environments that you have in the Division II.
Well, indeed, it's a very symbolic location in Washington, D.C. There are plenty of them, but this one is really representative of unity and freedom, which has our strong value of America. So we had to have it in the game. Another reason is when you look at the mall, on one hand you have the Capitol, on the other hand you have the Lincoln Memorial. And if you're doing a game in Washington, D.C., it's hard to cut in between and not feature those two monuments. So after that, when we visited that location the first time, when you look at it and you see the chamber, it's not the perfect fit for a mission. But when we did our research and we found out about the undercroft, that is a huge space underneath, that was the perfect fit for one of our main missions.
And so now, in terms of the fiction of the game, this becomes a holding zone or a safe zone, or do you have to free it somehow? What do you have to do when you're in the Lincoln Memorial in the Division II?
So actually, this location has been taken over by one of our factions, the Trusons. Yeah. And the reason why they are holding this location is right behind it, there's the Memorial Bridge, which is a key strategic location to get in and out of the city. So you need to take it back to allow supplies to reach the civilians that are stuck in DC. This area is called the Front Yard of America. That's the place where people gather to protest or just for leisure. So naturally for us, during the crisis, we assume that a lot of people would gather here, starting to protest, wondering what's happening and how the government can cope with the situation. And that's the main place where government established the refugee camps to try to contain all that panic.
And I guess that's the major part of the core game mechanic too, is you want to try to help the civilians that aren't getting involved with the factions and firing back at you.
Yeah, it's the major difference between the first game and the Division 2. In the first game, it was just the beginning of the crisis, and I think that even if that would happen, you would be like, okay, things are going to be fine. We're going to find a cure, and we're going to start life again. So, people were not reacting the same way as 7 months after, where you see that everything has failed and there is no one to help you except for the division, of course. That's why people started to band together in the settlements, trying to, grow food, find resources, and try to rebuild their life. So it's really the story we're telling now, the story of hope and, okay, now let's not be resilient and let's try to work together for a better tomorrow.
We have survived the virus outbreak that crippled our country.
Chad, where are we right now?
Okay, so we're at the Daponte Underground in D.C., in the north part of Washington, D.C.
And you guys discovered this you made some calls and you looked on the map and you said, let's go under there and see what's down there.
Exactly. So the research crew who organized a research trip to Washington, D.C., originally when I arrived here, they talked to a lot of people on the street, groups like Massive One Love from D.C., lots of urban explorers, graffiti artists, and Daponte Underground came up. There are some rails on the ground here, so this is where the streetcars came through. For about 15 years, I think it's like a tramway system was operating under the circle here. That wasn't very successful. It opened as a food court at some point.
Wow.
And it was also an atomic bunker. So some kind of nuclear bunker. And that's what we tap into. That's the mythology we touch on when we use this space as an entrance to a mission in the Division 2.
What are people going to be looking out for when they come into the Daponte Underground in the Division 2?
Well, you'll see some unique original graffiti work that we've saved for the Daponte Underground. You'll also notice that there'll be mattresses and blankets and the things that describe that in a crisis situation, in post-collapse DC pandemic, people flocked here as a place where they felt safe at least.
Way over there is the Capitol building, and how does that feature into the plot of the game?
So the Capitol building, it's one of the major symbols of American democracy. So for us, it was something strong we could play with. And we have the Truson faction, which is one of the three hostile factions, took over it and they made it their very own stronghold. So the faction strongholds are, let's say, the parallel of the civilian settlement, but the bad side of the settlement.
So you got to win it back.
Yes.
Did you freak out people when you came to do the research and you talked to like people that work at the park and the the federal employees that you must have to cooperate with, and you were telling them about the destroyed Washington you were building?
We didn't tell them that much,
It's so crazy to walk around in here and know that in a few weeks I'll be playing around in here. Must be surreal for you too.
It really feels special. The first time I did the trip here, we didn't build the game already. We knew we were going to do it, but it was mostly working in real life. Now, after 2 years of working on that game and playing it every day, hours and hours, it feels very, very special to me. I'm actually sending a lot of pictures to the team, and doing the parallel with the game. Hey guys, I'm getting ready for the boss fight here, and so on. So.